I had my daughter come to me and tell me that she thought that my then husband might have touched her personal parts, her privates. And when she told me she thought, I asked her what, and she said that she maybe had a bad dream. So I didn't know what to do, and I didn't go to the authorities right away. When she came to me the second time, I told him he needed to leave because he was an alcoholic. He didn't remember doing anything. She didn't remember exactly what had happened. She said that I had been tickling her feet or that he had been checking her pull-up, and so I was confused. I didn't know what to do.
How old was she?
She was, the first time she came to me, she was, I think, 7, 8, and the last time she was 11. And I took her anyway because he wouldn't stop drinking, and I wasn't going to have any more chances that it could have happened, you know, suspecting. And I took her to the police station and made a report. The day after I made the report, CPS and the police officer were sitting at the gas station across from our house. We had just got done playing at the park. And they pulled in our driveway right behind us to take the kids away. And the lady, the CPS worker, Paula Lipinski, handed me this paper. And on the paper, it had the names, you know, the name of the perpetrator. It said that the removal of the children because of this person doing the molestation. And the name that she had was my older 2 children's biological father. It hadn't even been my ex-husband's name. His name was nowhere on this paperwork. The reason for, you know, that I had made the report about. And their biological dad, they hadn't even seen 2 years or more. Is when I went and filed the report, I also kicked him out because I didn't know what was going to happen. I kicked him out. He was on his way to jail. I mean, I had made the report, no matter what. He was on his way to jail. So and I filed for divorce too the very next day too. When they took my kids, I went up and filed for divorce that day. I'm like, this is, you know, there's no chance for any reunification with him. I filed for divorce, and if I couldn't have my kids, I didn't need
So the police and the CPS worker came out to your house, gave you some papers. We have a judge sign. We're taking these kids from you. Did they ask where this man was? He was already in jail?
No, actually, I think he had been at work that night. He worked over in Traverse City at a pizzeria, and he was at work when they came in and removed my children from me. Okay. And so he wasn't even anywhere around anyway.
So they really didn't talk to him, tell him he had to move? Or,
no, they just took him. And
but you did file for divorce?
I filed for divorce the day they took him. I went up to the courthouse, and, you know, they took my kids. They pulled out the driveway, and as soon as they went down the road with my kids screaming for me, you know, I went up to the courthouse and got the divorce papers and filed.
What was the sexual abuse? What type of allegation was?
It was molestation. It was touching her privates. I mean, there was no, and that's the other thing that was really hard about it, is I had no real proof. You know, when she came to me, I would never call my daughter a liar. They'll call any kid a liar. They come to you, now I know, you go to the authorities or handle it in your own situation, or handle it in your own way. If I would have known for sure it was going on, he wouldn't have been around. But I didn't know. It was suspected molestation.
So what happened to him?
He got 6 months in county jail. And he's still on probation, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he admit to this, or?
I got the DVD from the court that he admitted to it. That his attorney actually, is what I heard, told him that he had to plead in order to only get 6 months, or if he didn't admit to it, he would have gotten longer. He wasn't going to admit to it, and he would have gotten longer time if he wouldn't have admitted to it.
So on
the DVD from the court session, that he did admit to the judge.
So CPS took your children, and when was your next court hearing?
That very next day, they had a court. Yep, the very next day after they took my children.
What was the plan issued? Did they give you a reunification plan? What was said at this hearing to you?
At the hearing, there was no reunification plan. They said straight out that they were not going to have a reunification plan, that they had no parent agency agreement, that they were just terminating my rights for failure to protect because I had had prior CPS involvement. And what they meant by that was 7 years, even 8 years, I can't remember the time frame exactly. I had had CPS prior involvement because I had also initiated that too. I was seeking help for my son, and he had behavioral issues. He is bipolar. He's got a whole bunch of things tied into one. He's got Asperger's syndrome. I had sought help for him with CMH and everything, and they tried to say I didn't get the help that he needed. and it was because CMH was turning me away and everything. I have all the paperwork and all the documents to prove that I took him there, and I have all the assessment that they do when they first take your child in to do an assessment. I have all those.
Well, if you weren't giving that child services and like that, why didn't CPS do something about that 7 years ago? Why wait until this?
Exactly. They never offered me any kind of services, and that's the other thing. They lied and said that they offered me services. I had never had services with them before.
So here they go straight for the termination and failure to protect.
Yep.
You know, there was another case in Michigan, and that was out of Midland, Michigan. Kevin Cody and Stephen Pribanow.
I heard them.
And Stephen was actually murdered in the adopted home. Well, Faith Baden was the mother. Uncle was molesting one of the boys, and she had turned that over to the police department. CPS took her kids
because she
and went for termination.